Welcome back, UMG South Carolina. We replaced the British guy with Buttercup Bill Landon himself. Well, we made it all the way to the semifinals. And just as I'm sure pretty much everyone at home predicted, very smart crowd we have out here. It is going to be H2k going against Rise. Rise just did some really weird stuff. It was a very close series, and then it won by like 200 points on the hard point. That was crazy. And then H2k, also a little bit crazy, I would say, took down H2k-Gaming in a best-of-7. Yeah. I assumed that they won all 3 S&Ds. That's not even the case. H2k-Gaming was able to pull 1 search. H2k was able to pull 2 respawns off of them.
Championship Sunday, full of surprises, and we're obviously going to get ready to hop into the game. Map going to be Fringe. Game type obviously going to be Hardpoint, but these two squads looking to see who can start off very, very well as we get ready to hop into the ban protects. Chance, what exactly are we seeing?
Well, we're seeing a stock ban from Fizzerp, which I'm not sure how I feel about that. Fizzerp's one that he doesn't shy away from pulling out the Shiva from time to time, and that is definitely a gun you want to be on the lookout for Fringe. It can be very powerful with those super long lines of sight. Of course, though, if you start using the Shiva, then Rise might also pull out the Shiva. True. And you might be playing with fire. Because, again, we just saw one of the best hardpoint performances of the tournament, although I don't know which Rise we're going to get.
What was that, 250 to 47?
Yeah, it was like 48.
That's incredible.
It was insane. It was a complete beatdown from the get-go. Pretty much everything that could go right did go right. Insane stuff, but again, the other respawns for Rise were pretty close, and I asked Octane what the hell just happened. He said, we know how to play evac hardpoint, so that helps me 0 for Fringe. I think it's a waste of time to make any sort of prediction at all. At this point, because no one has any clue what's going on anymore. So the specialist draft coming in, there's going to be a scythe, there's an active camo. I don't think we've seen a single crazy thing specialist related this entire tournament. So
not at all. And I fully expect Fierce to most likely go with the Annihilator, and he, just as I said, he does. Lacefield is probably going to go with the Kinetic Armor, and Legal. Maybe Legal goes with something like the Purifier, maybe even Active Camo or something along of those lines. But, oh no, I believe the Kinetic Armor was banned, so that's why you obviously aren't going to see it. But either way, you can see a couple of those specialists look like Classic is going to go fair for the Tempest. Now, you've talked about, I know we've talked about countless times, due to the recent patch, Tempest and I believe also Sparrow has gotten in some ways buff. We don't really know the exact definition, but it's a lot easier to shoot people is the correct definition of how you can kind of say it. But either way, hopping in here to game number 1 as these players get their classes created. This one, like I said, today has been an insane day. Rise Nation, basically the only normalcy, I guess you could say, for top teams who have kind of made it on up to this point. I believe also Revan tweeted out earlier that Rise Nation is the only, I think, like top 7 team or something along those lines to actually not be eliminated at this tournament. So, I mean, we saw what? We casted over Elevate, who lost to DT. DT now plays. They get smashed in the last game by Rise Nation overall. And then now we have H2k who's beat H2k-Gaming. Now these two meet up. Winner of this entire series goes to the grand finals to play off against the winner of Liquid and I believe Luminosity. And I casted over Luminosity earlier, and they absolutely smashed Envy. Like today has been absolutely absurd.
Yeah, and then just to update you guys on that game, Luminosity is apparently up 3-1 currently in that series. So Luminosity has been running teams over. Liquid, though, has been incredibly clutch. So we'll try and let you guys know what happens in that series as it goes on. Of course, for now, though, we are going to be staying with Rise going against H2k. Nothing too exciting. I think the Tempest, again, is worth talking about. A little bit useful on the train hill. Super long lines of sight. You can light people up with that. It's basically like having a sniper in your back pocket sort of thing. Of course, a sniper that is electric and can zap other people and chain and a bunch of weird stuff. And then, of course, the main difference being the Purifier choice from Legal. That's something you're either going to see on the Junkyard Hill, just to hold off players trying to push in through tin. Right. Alternatively, if he can get inside of top grandmas, you can pretty much just hold down, well, the entire thing. You could just spin in circles wildly and kind of have a Woodstock dance going on inside of the hill, and you'll be able to successfully get some kills.
I think you hit the nail right on the head. Rotating over to grandma is going to be so important when it comes to these hills as well. And also when you're rotating over to trains, being able to have those, really just spawn control over trains, making those guys spawn out through back alley and your bricks can give your team a lot of seconds and really propel you to a Game 1 victory. And we know these guys have obviously kind of surprised us, at least as far as H2k goes. We'll see how they fare off against the Rise Nation squad as we get ready to hop into our first game. Fringe Hardpoint, something to make note of as well, as this is a best-of-7. Not just 3 maps, gives you the win. You have to win 4 of those, as there will be 3 search and destroys. Looking to see who can maybe kind of dominate in those, but we're going to be heading to an early respawn, like I said, over on the map Fringe. Chance, who do you want to hop on board with first?
Well, I'm already on board with Lacefield, so I might as well stick with him because I'm a very lazy driver.
He's a good guy.
I just let things go easy. Now, I think predictions are pretty much impossible at this point, but I will say H2k, in their only 2 matches thus far, they have gone to Game 7 2 separate times. So might be a safe bet there. You see Octane, though. We talked about the Shiva a little bit. He's going to be starting with that, and Fears has one as well. Lacefield, though, going to be going on the flank, able to pick up one, trying to get some nades down. Of course, the trophies are going to be on the map.
Yeah, this is a great flank coming in from Lacefield, trying to pinch that hill early on as he's going to go and head on into Barn. So he's going to have that VMP in hand. He's able to knock one down. Legal currently in the hill. This is just great time going on for H2k as they've absolutely started off fantastic. Great kills going down. Now this is Rise trying to come on the flank. They're going to grab a couple kills there as well. Classic with the M8 in hand. Can he find this kill over in bricks? It's not going to happen, but a great kill and a great start there from H2k as they nearly able to knock down that pinch, and you're going to see Octane trying to do a little bit of work with that Shiva. Yeah, and beautiful push we saw right off the bat coming in from Lacefield. He locked down the spawns for the next hill. Yeah, and you can see there's actually a gunfight going down at the back of the map, which, well, Looney, who has been on point this entire series, is going to be able to pick up too. So despite the nice plays by Lacefield early on, things are now going to be favoring Rise just for the moment, I should say. Fizzerp, though, able to pick up 2 inside the hill. Octane is going to be flanked, and very quickly H2k is able to get control of Junkyard. They are indeed going to hop on board here with Fears off the brick, and he's going to be able to get a couple kills there as 3 go down for H2k. Can they force their way forward? Slack now throwing out nades. It's going to be EMP, so this is some big seconds currently going on to the Rise Nation squad. Can they hold on? But no, that's not going to happen. Rise now forcing their way through. Classic kind of bring a little bit of a possible anchor as he's been watching over his teammates. Heatwave coming into use as well, and this is just back and forth time. Rise Nation, though, kind of controlling this one. Secondaries out. Can he get a kill with an RK5 as Classic? But no, he's going to get shut down, and that's going to be a massive ending to this hard point. Last 15 seconds, the rotation is going to be so important, and it looks like H2k had those spawns, and they're going to say, guys, they're going to basically kind of hand it over to H2k to go and grab these last couple seconds as we will be ready to rotate here over to Grandma's. Yeah, so Rise is taking the clear lead, though. H2k has spawns for Grandma's. Of course, though, you see Legal sitting up on top. This is very important that he's able to pick up the kills once they get inside of this hard point, because you know Rise is going to be very quick to begin a contest. But still, the spawns are the ever important thing here. You see they are taking their time. Rise, it is, to send 3 around all the way on the flank, and Classic and Looney are the first 2 players to strike. I do Legal holding it down. He's going to have that hill contested, and he doesn't really realize he turns around, but no, he's not going to be able to find the kill. Big kills early on going to Rise Nation as they're going to grab those entry frags, and Lacefield tossing in a couple nades as he comes from 10, as it will be Octane holding down backside. Grandma's trying to maybe even provide a little bit of spawn control possibly for him. Lacefield's going to get tagged up, and that's going to be Rise Nation taking a little bit of a lead as the man Octane holding it down in the back is doing pretty well, currently on sitting on the 3 streak. He's getting closer and closer to that lightning strike, and he does have that MR6 in his back pocket. And thankfully for H2k, they are set up for that trans, and we're going to let Rise take those last couple seconds. As there are still gunfights going down, but still they're going to want to be on that rotation trying to set up here. Yeah, and such a huge hill for Rise to be able to break into Grandma's when H2k had the perfect setup. Of course, now H2k is going to take the time. They have the setup on trains as well, but you can see the pinches already coming in. Someone for H2k allowed a player to slip through the cracks, and he is going to be able to contest from both directions. Of course, though, Legal and Fears each able to win their gunfight. Still, though, this is just contest time coming in, and that's really all that Rise needs to do before they begin pushing once again. You see Legal's getting tagged up with EMPs, nades, getting hit with absolutely everything. Somehow, though, he's been successfully able to stay alive. He's on a 5 streak as well. Finally, he is going to get shut down by Classic, who's pulling out the Tempest on the hill as we expected. But Rise looking very good, breaking hills, not with ease, but they're still able to force it in. And when they're not successfully breaking it, they're at the very least contesting. Absolutely, Ryan's kind of forcing the guys of H2k to spawn through back alley near Brickside. They're doing a fantastic job of holding this one down. 116 to 53. Rise doing very, very well. We saw them do a fantastic job in that final hard point that kind of decided their last game to kind of propel them to this current series, and they are looked to be on a tear. We talked with Octane, see how he's kind of doing after last series. He says, like you said, we're just good on evac. Well, they're doing pretty well here on Fringe, without a doubt. And it will be Slacked, who's kind of like the captain for this roster. You know, very talented guy. I believe Looney's the actual captain, but you know, Looney just a great guy. It is Looney, who's just a great guy, and he's just overall just a talented player. You know, he's more of an objective type of mindset when he has the SMG in his hands, and always seems to be a main factor when it comes to Rise Nation's overall playstyle. But it is Octane holding it down with the scythe. He's going to drop one there as well. That will be Rise Nation getting off to a good start here with a 70-point lead. Yeah, somehow Octane in that situation was able to stay alive for quite some time. You see, though, both teams are kind of putting priority on the spawns for the next hill. You see Lacefield again is going for the flank all the way around. 20 seconds left, but H2k is
is making sure to push forward. You see it was successful as the players right now for Rise are spawning over by Grandma. Still, though, it is important to be getting this hill time, and that is what Rise is doing. They have more than doubled the lead of their opponent, and they are continually racking up this time. H2k going to need a pretty good junkyard, but again, it's going to come down to that Grandma's Hill 2 away. So just be on the lookout for spawns, rotations coming in with 30 seconds left on this hill.
They do indeed. Legal going to get shut down there. He has that Purifier in hand, so we need to switch over to Legal in just a little bit when it comes down to this hill. You talked about this one earlier, Chance. The Purifier inside of Junkyard can be absolutely deadly. And Slack trying to hold this one down, propel his team to have a little bit more of a lead. As Rise are just kind of holding this one down, trying to get spawns possibly is going to be very, very important for Grandmas, but this is something that H2k has to force. They're down by a lot of points right now, and Legal doing a little bit of work, as he just does end up getting shut down. So that's the whole point of, H2k's playstyle. They got to use their specialists, and they have to use them in a massive advantage for themselves. Maybe even not using it in Junkyard, possibly could have used that one over in Grandma's, might have done a little bit more work, but either way, those rotations getting ready to come in. Classic going to be the guy to most likely do a little bit of that early hill switching, but he does have those score streaks. Looks like the Lightning Strike going to come down, and we'll have that Cerberus in his back pocket once he spawns back up.
Well, and you see right now what H2k is trying to do. They're trying to hold the spawns for this next hill. Fizzerb is making sure to focus all the way over in trains for the players flanking all the way around. H2k is content to give away that time. Still, though, they're down by 110 points. They're going to need a full 60 on Grandma's to start getting themselves back in this game. But, of course, they're going to have to deal with the score streaks of Classic, and there they are coming in. Now you expect Rise is going to flood very quickly, trying to get in the back. Players trying to push in the front as well. Lacefield wins one gunfight, not going to win the second. Legal is there to clean up the kill, and for the first offensive push, it was H2k that was able to hold strong, despite the fact that Classic used some of the score streaks.
Yeah, this is a big kill time right now for the side of H2k as they've set up perfectly in Grandma's. I don't believe allowing any seconds to go over on the side of Rise Nation. Obviously, we do see some score streaks coming in. The kills are being traded, and right now Looney tries to use his Heat Wave. He drops one. Can he find the second, though? And he's able to do that thanks to his teammates' help. So it will be Rise Nation taking control of these last couple seconds. It seems H2k had to set up inside of middle. So we saw some good control. Like you said earlier, Chance, it was Fizzerb holding down trains and really set up a lot of time. But that's the issue. They're getting some seconds, but just overall, Rise Nation have absolutely destroyed when it comes to the overall slaying category. Those rotations get ready to come into trains here as well, as it will be Lacefield on our screens currently with that Heat Wave in his back pocket when he needs it. That Cerberus just off to the left, and he's going to do some work. Drops one. Can he find the second, though? The active camo and use the grenades out. He's going to go and reference back inside the tool, as it's currently 213 to 103. The lead currently in favor of Rise Nation, and they just seem to be absolutely destroying, only allowing H2k to get spotty time.
Yeah, and that was a very cool play by Lacefield as well. You saw he EMP'd the Cerberus that came in right off the bat, and he made sure to heat wave it as well, and I believe the Cerberus has already been taken care of, and H2k is able to retain control of the hill. Still, though, they have their work cut out for him, and a double team kill is not going to be helping anything, but at the very least, they took care of the fifth man or fifth robot that Rise had available. Still, though, 100-point deficit. Things are going to have to get wild, because right now, everyone from Rise is performing well, except for maybe Octane, but still, like Classic, 27 and 18, 2 minutes and 18 seconds of hill time. The guy's going nuts.
He's indeed fierce. Going to be going to get inside of Barn to possibly give a little bit of an overview of the next hill. He's going to maybe possibly drop this player. Can he do it? He does. So great kill there over on Looney to not allow that pinch to come into play. Now he's going to set up his teammates. As you're going to see a little bit of a swarm right now from H2k trying to bring this one back, and that Annihilator out for Fears. But no, I don't think he actually has that for the next spawn up. He might have just pulled it out just in time where he could have it after that respawn comes back up. Classic going to punch Lacefield in the back of the head. That's going to be Rise Nation, who currently have a little bit of a lead. Only 30 more seconds left before this Gainer 1 comes to a close, and it's Slack currently inside of Z trying to maybe find a couple of kills. Only a little bit of spawning time left for Rise Nation, but they're feeling confident. They're feeling good. Score streaks and specialists most likely going to make their debut, if not in this hill, and the next one over to Junkyard. Those rotations have got to be absolutely key for H2k if they expect to really pull a miracle off.
Well, Rise is able to get a clean 3 down. They're not inside of the hill at the very least, so things aren't going to end shortly here for H2k. It's probably going to come down to this Junkyard hill. You can see it, Looney's in here collecting the time. He's going to be very close. And now the score streak's coming in as well. Saw all 4 players on the map. Doesn't get a kill, but they're going to try and utilize that information. Rise now just 17 points away from end of this game, though. H2k, though, going to get a clean 3 down. You see Fizzerb doing work, holding the spawns in the back of the map, but he has his work cut out for him. He's going to need to hold off another wave of these players from Rise.
Is indeed. Lacefield currently holding it down. Fizzerb trying to hold a little bit of work down through back alley. He's going to drop 2 down. down for H2k. Now this is Rise making their way forward. They're realizing, hey, this one's gone on too long as we're going to force our way forward. Classic able to drop one. Can he find the second? No, on the reload, it's not going to happen. Octane there to hold it off the MR6. The shots are just not good enough. And this is a really good moment now for H2k. Rise, though, just 4 down. That was a great play out of Rise Nation. It's 10 seconds left. They can close it out on this hill, and some big kills going down from Looney. Only is able to drop one. Classic in the back, only 5 seconds left. H2k realize that this one is basically over at this point, and that should just about do it. If not, as these final kills do go down, and Classic needs to win this gunfight. It's not going to happen in the end, but just like that, Octane seals the deal, and that'll be Rise Nation walking away with a Game 1 victory, 250 to 146.
And I think, you know, most people, obviously we didn't make predictions just because of the craziness of the tournament, but you would expect that Rise is going to be the more slay-heavy kind of respawn team, so Hardpoint, you would definitely be favoring those guys. And of course, even in the match against H2k-Gaming, H2k lost both of the Hardpoint matches. So clearly that's something they need to work on in the future, but S&D, CTF, and Uplink is going to be their key. And we've seen in the past that's actually something that Rise kind of 50-50 about. They've kind of flip-flopped on the S&Ds that we've seen, and the CTF and Uplinks, they did win both of them in their series against DT, but they both came down to the wire within 2 seconds. So I think that the hard points are going to go to Rise both times, pretty controlling wins or dominating, depending on if Rise can flip that switch. Otherwise, though, I think it's going to be a very close series, you know, as we go on.
Absolutely. We're going to see how that game number 2 is going to fare for H2k. Rise Nation with a hot start as they take that one in pretty much commanding fashion. But like I said, kind of falling into suit. One player that was really just dominating throughout the entire game, I believe, was Classic. Dropped around 30 kills, also had around 2 minutes and 30 seconds in the hill. I actually did a little bit of study on Classic. I went through some of his KDs, went to COD_stats, looked at their website, and it seemed that whenever he was on teams that he just wasn't comfortable with, you know, throughout Advanced Warfare, he's on a number of different rosters, you know, mostly on the side of Elevate with Classic, in which they've kind of reunited here on Rise Nation. But, you know, he just didn't really seem to be performing as well as he could once he was with players that he really wants to be with. I think when he's kind of has that chemistry, which I think a lot of times that players don't really realize how important that is, you know, being able to kind of bond with your teammates, being able to kind of realize and say, hey, we're teammates, you know, outside of game, inside of game, we're still the same. We have that friendship and that bond. And I think once he got on a good roster, this Rise Nation squad in particular, he's kind of elevated his game in a sense. And I believe at one of the first lands, he had around a 1.3 KD. So BL on the watch for Classic. He's on the run as we do hop into the